Hello YouTubers, Christian here, FedEdEd. I felt I needed to do this video because there's been a lot going on in the market recently, and something important to note. The topic, the day has been about market manipulation, and I think that folks should know, especially the newer investors, that this isn't anything new. This goes back a long time, and it's present in many different sectors, not just the stock market, but many different assets are also affected by this. And the whole system, just to kind of start from the basic, is the whole system is pretty much rigged against the little person, pretty much from the top. And it's done by design, because things like bankers' hours and stock markets, all these, and not just that, but different types of, properties, and being able to, the barriers to entries to be able to get into certain types of activities, and the list is endless. But the point is, usually the more money someone has, those barriers are less. But little folks, it's a lot harder, especially when those folks are dependent on a job, or single, or maybe just two sources of income, and the proverbial living paycheck to paycheck, which some folks do. It happens, but eventually, hopefully, best of luck to get out of that, because wishing everybody the ability to have, if you like to keep a job, keep it, but also be sure to have a security net, as it were, something if something were to happen, because no one ever knows with the market, and with life in general. Things can happen, not just at a job, but family and whatnot. Just naturally, there's many different things. And the big situation that people have to know is that the market itself, and like I said, the system a lot of times has things that are rigged to hold people down. And like the banking hours, for example, a lot of times people work the early shift, and then only get out in the afternoon, evening, and it's harder to get it to the bank or get there right before they close, whatever. It's by design, in part, so that you don't have to they don't have to worry less about bank runs and people, because if worse comes to worse with the economy, it's going to be a lot harder for people to pull their money out. And not just on that note, try to pull out $10,000 or more from any bank and see if they're going to give that to you on the same day. Usually you're going to be flagged. If it's over $10,000, you're going to be flagged. They're not going to give you that money. They might give you a cashier's check or something, but that's a whole nother subject. I'm talking about the cold hard cash, your cash. So the system is set up to pretty much protect the system, again, not just the people in the system, but keep the system perpetuated. And sometimes you'll see, like what happened recently with the brokerage firms, and canceling certain companies. This isn't the first time this happened, halting trading and things. And it's great that the little person is able to make a profit in some situations, and I hope for the best with those folks. But with the market, things go up and down, and in the end, a lot of big institutional investors, and the ones that really can move the markets with not just millions but billions, they'll get their say, not just because they paid off the politicians on both sides of the eagle early on, but they also grease the wheels, on local levels and business levels, and they'll get bailouts from each other. They're, at that point, they're not getting hurt too much, but they'll sure as hell make the life of people that inconvenience them considerably harder. And they don't like being called out on manipulation, and that's why the system is intentionally, the jargon, and just not just in legal terms, but pretty much like the hurdles, everything is made to obfuscate the actual view of things, so it's harder for people to call out something as it is, and because it's multiple processes and things. So it's not just one thing, just like people that are involved in not just manipulation, but organized crime and money laundering and all that stuff. You have many different pieces of, as it were, let's call it a pyramid, and everybody takes orders from the top, or at least the general notion of where things are going. but lower level duties and grunt work are passed down so that the people at the top don't get their hands dirty. And there are times that they occasionally are caught and called out, and at those times people have to fight for their rights because unfortunately the legal system in many times is used against little folks. And as great as America is, and there's lots of other countries out there too that are great, but the legal system is often used, suing someone pretty much into perpetuity until they either don't have legal funds or just have to give up because they've mortgaged out their house and everything, and it's not that they were right, they could have been right all along, but they'll get muscled out by the big person because they know how to use the system. And unfortunately this happens across the board, and people have to be aware of this. But knowledge is power, and here's the benefit of this video and what I want to talk to y'all about is that it's a lot before, this would happen occasionally before, but now it's becoming even more prevalent because of the use of AI and, second-to-second trading and the ability to, control the means of, and, institutional, systematic things. But the little folks, they have to wake up, and some folks are waking up. Now I think it's starting to happen a lot faster at a faster pace, but people are starting to see that there's a lot of funky stuff going on in the system, and it's been several years coming this already. And it's for some people it's a faster process than others. For other people, unfortunately it's the frog in the pot approach and end up being boiled before they actually wake up. And the point is, people, when they realize something is wrong, they have to make a change and research more and see what's up with it so that they can get out of that rut and also be informed and tell other people so that they don't fall into it and be abused by the system. So just to summarize this whole video, essentially, it talked about multiple different subjects, but all this stuff overlaps. And unfortunately, this has been used to, like I said, hold people down. But now, information, use this to your advantage. Use the system that was, like the banks and places where you'd throw your money in and only get, 2% or something on a CD or whatnot, something pitiful compared to what you could do if you invested yourself even in just some basic companies or ETFs. It's like, this is what they do with your money. Don't fool yourself. I mean, they're putting it in the market too. And I mean, in other things too, but market manipulation can happen in any asset. So it's not just stocks. It's happened in, silver and things, and different types of, the housing, and there's the list is endless, and you can go on, about different situations and bank runs and people finding out about, the goldsmiths early on in history that controlled the money and how they'd use it and over leverage themselves, selling stuff that they didn't have, and classic bank run. So now, folks, wake up and start seeing this, research more, use this type of information to your advantage, profit where they profit, leave them in the dust. And now with the access to different types of abilities to transact, away from the SWIFT system, including digital currency, but if you still have to stay in the SWIFT system, use your ability to reach out and keep different types of assets to benefit yourself. Don't be limited to just one job or a couple sources of income. Branch out. You'll be a lot happier in the long run. And again, these are all just opinions, but I think people should be aware of how the system has been used to hold them down and what they can do to change. Eventually, I'll be putting out a lot more video-specific types of manipulation and what to be aware of, and but like I said, it overlaps so much that it'd be too much of a big video. But either way, thanks for joining me here. Hopefully you took something from this video. I'll be putting out some more interesting stuff along the way too, but I just felt needed to talk about this and call it out for what it was, and hopefully so that some people can benefit and don't, if they're new, don't just jump in with both feet. So be aware of things, and knowledge is power, and keep that reading out and looking out, and you should be okay. So everybody out there, take care. Thanks. and I'll see you next time.